I don't know what is wrong with conservatives, man, but I will tell you this. There's very, very little I admire about Democrats, but if there's anything at all that I do admire about them, they are freakishly loyal, man. They're protective and they're united with each other. It's almost to a disgusting degree, really. I mean, just look at the list. I mean, Ilhan Omar says support for Jews is all about the Benjamins. She also said that 9/11 was just some people that did something. Nobody says a word. Tlaib flies the Palestinian flag, hangs out with all kinds of anti-American crazy people. Jamal Bowman pulls a freaking fire alarm to keep the government from being funded. Eric Swalwell was banging a spy. Adam Schiff lied to the American people repeatedly, using his own position in government to do it. And Joe Biden likely can't even wipe his own ass. And still there's this like ironclad united front. It's impressive. When you think about it, it's impressive. Conservatives, on the other hand, they will bitch and moan about literally everything. They will devolve into party war over who doesn't support Israel enough. Not who doesn't support them, who doesn't support them enough. I mean, they all support Israel, but I mean, my gosh, man, they do what any good and decent human does, but they will fight about the minutia is my point. And I'm sorry, man, but that is not a winning strategy. You know, Joe Rogan, he's not even a conservative, but he does have a brain. So, I mean, I guess by today's standards, that kind of makes you conservative, but whatever he is, he sees it.
Think today more people are aware of the insanely widespread deception that the government was involved in during the same time as the moon landing. I think this is important. And I know a lot of people who get very angry when you question the moon landing. They use terms like patriotism, they use national pride, like we did this incredible thing, the scientists that we have. I understand what they're saying. I understand where they're coming from entirely. But we have to look at things realistically if we're ever going to get an accurate picture of how the world works.
Here's what we're talking about, man. Tucker Carlson was on Joe Rogan's show, and he talked about a lot of things. I mean, he said that, you know, there's a lot of questions about the moon landing, which is obviously kind of wacky. I don't buy into that. I don't agree with Tucker on everything. But obviously, you know, the way I look at it, obviously, this is not what this video is about, but the evidence is overwhelming that we went to the moon, obviously. And it's an incredible American feat. But I do absolutely understand questioning literally anything that the government tells you. He also talked about the dropping of nuclear weapons on Japan. He said it was evil. And I say, whether you think it was necessary or not, there really is no way to argue that it was fully and completely righteous. I mean, that's just, I mean, it is what it is, but it also isn't what it isn't, right? For the simple fact that there is nothing that our government or any other government does that is rooted fully in good. I mean, nothing. You can't choose one thing. You can't make a list of even one thing. But anyway, the guys over at the Daily Wire, they hate Tucker Carlson because he supports Candace Owens, right? Who they fired for a lot of reasons, but it's just that simple. They took a shot at Tucker because he likes Candace Owens. They tweeted, people who deny the moon landing or suggest America's evil for its use of the atomic weapons against Imperial Japan, or say that George Bush was behind 9/11, actually hate this country, is what they said, right? And I don't really buy into any of those things, but I don't think they mean you hate this country, right? You know, I get that you can be against people believing or saying things you disagree with, but to claim that believing something other than the government tells you means that you hate America is the stupidest shit possible. I mean, Democrats, they have each other's backs when they literally support chants of death to America. And conservatives take shots when a guy says that he believes dropping nuclear weapons was, and will always be, at least in some part, evil. I mean, if you can't support the team, man, then you can't win the game.
So there's the Bay of Pigs. There's all these things. There's the Kennedy assassination itself, which they still won't release the files. There's the moon landing. And the moon landing. And then there's Nixon, getting Nixon removed from the White House, which I didn't know was a giant government operation too. Tucker Carlson laid that all out, and I was like, what? And then I read a bunch about it. What he's saying is totally true. What I want people to do is to say, what did they tell the truth about? If this is the one thing that you're willing to hang your hat on, they say, I know they lied about everything. What did they tell the truth about? What did they said, you know what? I know we're liars and we get people killed and we're, funneling money here and there. But what we can't lie about the moon landing, guys. And everybody agreed.
This guy, I see why people like him so much, man. I mean, the guy is right. People can believe what they want, but it's kind of interesting to be just picking and choosing what the government is truthful about and what they're hiding. You know, it's kind of an interesting thought. I mean, the problem is most people aren't aware of any of this stuff. You know, they've never really heard, they never heard of the Bay of Pigs. They don't know the full Nixon story or probably any of it, honestly. You know, they probably believe the magic bullet theory when it comes to Kennedy. You know, they believe what they're told. And a lot of people do. I mean, of course they do, I guess. They believe Donald Trump steered an insurrection, called for a bloodbath, promises to be a dictator. I mean, these people believe what they're told to believe. And truly, when you really break it down to ones and zeros, it's amazing. I mean, the men behind the curtain they probably just laugh at us. I mean, they've got to laugh when they think about all the crazy stuff that they've been able to make the average person believe.
I think if we look at the time that we're talking about, the Nixon administration, we talk about the Gulf of Tonkin incident where they got us into Vietnam, where it was a bullshit false flag that wound up killing how many people? Was like 1 million people dead because of that?
3 million people, including 58,220 Americans.
Okay, there's that. There's Operation Northwoods during the same time period. Operation Northwoods was a plan that was signed by the Joint Chiefs of Staff where they were going to initiate false flags to try to get us into a war with Cuba. They were going to blow up a drone jetliner and blame it on Cuba. They were going to arm Cuban friendlies and attack Guantanamo Bay.
And this is just the stuff that squeaked out, man, but it really doesn't even matter that any of it squeaked out at all because no one even cares about it. No one believes it. You know, people today, they don't know any of this stuff. They don't know that we literally rounded up anyone who even looked Japanese during World War II. We sent them to prison camps and literally stole every belonging that they had. You know, people don't know, they don't know these things, right? And now they believe every single word from that very, very same government that now has the power of the Patriot Act and FISA courts. And it's crazy. I mean, you got so-called conservatives saying other conservatives hate America if they don't believe every word that the government tells you. It just doesn't make sense. It's insane. It just doesn't even make a tiny bit of sense. And as I get deeper into this, man, I almost start to feel like if you do believe every word that these people say, then you're the one who probably deep down hates America. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, that's not fair to say, but that's just my take, man. I thought you guys would find that to be interesting at least. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.